Greetings, everyone. There was a message that was circulating from the Department of Home Affairs that it was actually circular, that spoke about the suspension of the police clearance and the other requirements. This circular was not specifically addressed to ZEP holders, but it was a general circular, and we guess it was for other migrants who are holders of various permits or are applying for various visas. The interpretation from many people was that that particular circular was addressing ZEP holders. We then said, it was on Sunday actually when I was addressing a church service in Kempton Park, that I said, as the leadership of the Zimbabwe community in South Africa, we have not yet verified with the Department of Home Affairs whether they no longer need a medical report, a police clearance, if you are applying for a general work visa, if you are a holder of a Zimbabwe exemption permit. In the previous videos, we had said, if for one reason or another, you cannot go to Zimbabwe and get a police clearance, you need to apply and ask them to waive that requirement. In other words, if your waiver outcome comes from the Department of Home Affairs, it must state that the police clearance should actually say, we have received your request to waive the police clearance from Zimbabwe and your request has been granted. It should be clear in the waiver outcome, right? This is why we said you apply and ask them to waive if for one reason or another you cannot travel to Zimbabwe. But if you are able to travel and you are able to get a police clearance from Zimbabwe, then there's no reason to waive. Now, we're getting reports that some people who have received their waivers are now applying for general work visa, are being turned away at VFS offices because they do not have a medical report, they do not have a police clearance. On the medical report, it's possible, and I've met some holders of ZEP who are on chronic illness or chronic disease. They've been living with this sickness for years here in South Africa. So even if you do a medical report, it will indicate that, right? So the advice that we gave, we said, in your application for a waiver, you should also indicate in terms of a medical condition to say, I'm suffering from this illness. I've been living under this condition for years. It is not a threat to any person, right? You need to indicate that. It makes life easier. Because if you simply do a medical report, which will indicate that you are living with this illness, it might work against you when you're applying for a general work visa or any other visa. But it's important to state in the application for your waiver to say, I'm in this condition. I have a chronic disease or chronic illness. I've been living under this condition for years. And it does not affect any other person. Because no one from it, it is not contagious, to use the proper medical word. That because they are suffering from this condition, if you come in contact with any person or you come in contact with me, I will then suffer the same illness. It's important that you indicate that. So that when they receive your application for any other visa that you are applying for, if a holder of a ZEP permit, at least they will know that this person was upfront, they've been living with this condition, medical condition, for a long time in South Africa. So if you have applied for a waiver and you did not specifically ask them to waiver the police clearance, once your waiver outcome is out and is positive and you are cleared to apply, one of the requirements is that you must have a police clearance from Zimbabwe. And some people that are going to VFS, they are telling them that if for the last 5 years you have gone to Zimbabwe, in the past 5 years, you must produce a police clearance from Zimbabwe. Because it happens. You might have gone for holidays, say December. You committed a criminal offense, you then quickly ran back to South Africa, and you are wanted that side in Zimbabwe. This is why they need that police clearance to satisfy themselves that you are not a wanted person in Zimbabwe. You did not commit any criminal offense when you visited Zimbabwe on holiday. But if for one reason or another, if it is a strong reason, which the Department of Home Affairs will have to decide, you can apply to waiver a police clearance. For instance, you can say, I've never been to Zimbabwe since 2017, for instance, which is now more than 5 years. I've never been to Zimbabwe for more than 5 years. And when I visited Zimbabwe, I have a proof that I never committed any crime in Zimbabwe. And to state the reasons why you cannot get a police clearance in Zimbabwe and ask them to waiver it. But if you did not ask them to waiver that requirement, when you then apply for any of the visas after getting your waiver, you need police clearance from Zimbabwe. I hope I tried to explain well, but if you have questions, please write your questions in the comment section. I am Ngabuto Nicholas Mapena. Like this video, circulate. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, if you are following us on TikTok, please indeed follow us. As I said last time, you watch videos, I see 40,000 people who are watching each video, but you are not following us. Please do so. Otherwise, have a great day. Goodbye.